Hey there, RZF Faction.
What? That is crazy.
Watch the podcast.
I'm just not sure about that right now.
We're going to talk a little football.
Let's get it, baby.
Welcome everybody back to the RZF Eps podcast. As always, I'm your host, Scott Wilson. Now we're moving on to the AFC, and Cleveland will be first on the docket. With that said, let's get to it. Cleveland had an exceptional draft. Obviously, having the first overall pick in the draft, they stayed put. They took Myles Garrett with that first overall pick from A&M, defensive end. Everybody knew this was going to be the number one guy off the board, regardless of who was picking. I think it was smart that Cleveland stayed put. They took their guy. They had 3 first-round picks. They took him at number 1. They took Jabril Peppers at 25. They took a tight end from Miami, and the 3 very good playmakers that I think will be immediate impacts. Jabril Peppers is the one that kind of sticks out to me because I don't really know what position he's going to play. The guy played 9 positions while he was at Michigan, so I know he played safety. That was his primary position, but he bounced around a lot, and I don't know where Cleveland's going to put him. It'll be interesting to see what they do with him because he's definitely a playmaker on either side of the ball, so we'll see what they do with him. The number one thing I liked most about Cleveland's draft was they waited on a quarterback. They didn't do what they normally do and rush to get one early. They waited. They took Deshaun Kaiser later on from Notre Dame. It doesn't matter if he works out or not because they didn't waste a pick on him. I feel like it wasn't early. Got him late. So many Notre Dame quarterbacks have come out and gone to Cleveland before and didn't work out. So we'll see what happens with Kaiser. But I do like Cleveland's draft. I gave him a B+, and I really think that these first round guys are all going to contribute early. They're going to make Cleveland better. I'm going to go out on a prediction here. When I do my vision predictions, I'll say it again, but I don't think Cleveland's going to be picking first next year. I don't see it happening. I think these 3 definitely gave them a boost, and we'll see how much of a boost it is. It is Cleveland. I do feel like they had a good draft. Definitely wasn't a typical Cleveland draft, but those are my opinions for the Cleveland Browns draft. Like I said, B+, really good draft. That's all for the Cleveland Browns. Next, we're going to move on to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Next up in the AFC North, we've got the Pittsburgh Steelers. The thing about their draft is they drafted a bunch of Will C's. I gave them a B. They had a very late first-round pick. Obviously, they took T.J. Watt, the linebacker from Wisconsin, J.J. Watt's brother. I feel like there was a lot of hype there with him. Most of his career, he was a tight end, and then they moved him to defense there at the end. A lot of hype around him. We'll see what happens with Watt. I don't know. Just a we'll see with him. Same thing with Juju Smith-Schuster, the wide receiver from USC. I kind of feel the same way about him. First off, I don't trust anybody from USC. I've been burned enough with these guys. Please, somebody tell me who was the last USC guy that came to the NFL that did anything, especially wide receiver. I know it's been a while, and I'm just skeptical of him. I was kind of glad the Eagles didn't get him because a lot of people were putting him in Philadelphia, and I was glad he didn't come. Plus, Pittsburgh's loaded with wide receivers right now anyway. Tavius Bryant got some problems, and he's always in trouble. Maybe it was insurance for him. I don't know. I just don't know how he's going to work out either. I did like the James Conner pick, running back from Pittsburgh. I thought that was their best pick. D'Angelo Williams is gone to free agency. Conner fits that role perfectly. I thought it was a hometown pick. It was a good one. That was my favorite pick that they had. They also went and got Joshua Dobbs later on, the quarterback from Tennessee. Thought that was pretty smart. You know, there was some rumblings early in the offseason about Roethlisberger retiring. Why not to go ahead and bring a quarterback in who can get some reps and see what happens with him. I'm not saying he's going to be an NFL starter one day. I just think he had potential at Tennessee. He was definitely dangerous at times. So we'll see what happens with him in the NFL. I personally don't think Roethlisberger is going anywhere for another couple of years. I think that was just all. I think he was tired. He was upset. It was a rough season for him. He'll play another couple of years. He's not going anywhere anytime soon. My basic phrase for this Pittsburgh draft is it's a bunch of Will C's. I gave him a B. If this could turn out to be an A, it could turn out to be a D. That's all for Pittsburgh. We're going to move on to the Baltimore Ravens. Next up, we've got the Baltimore Roll Tide Ravens. Ozzie Newsome obviously runs the show in Baltimore, and boy, does he love drafting Bama players. With the 16th overall pick, he chose Marlon Humphrey, cornerback out of Alabama. I was a little low on him. In all honesty, I thought Humphrey should have stayed another year at Bama. I don't think he was ready yet. I think he needed another season. That's my opinion. I know a lot of Bama fans that agree with me, not because we wanted him to stay there, just because he got burned a lot last year, and there was times where his head just didn't seem like it was in the right place. His feet was in the wrong place. It was just, he wasn't always there. I know at least he went to the right team. I know Baltimore has a really good defense. They've got a good coaching staff. I know if anybody can get him right, it's them. I am glad if he did go to the NFL, that's where he went. I think it's a perfect fit. And plus, got plenty of other Bama guys there already to take him under their wing. They got another linebacker from Houston after that. They got Tim Williams, which I thought was a steal. My favorite draft pick for them, Tim Williams. Way later in the draft. I couldn't believe he was still there. Linebacker from Alabama. Baltimore is no joke. But this is my favorite pick for them. Not because he was Bama, just because it was a good need. And Ted Williams is going to fit in perfectly with this defense. But I gave them a B- because they got nothing as far as offensive playmakers. And I think that's what Baltimore lacked. I mean, they stacked up on defense in this draft. I think their first 4 picks were defense. You know, not that they didn't need it. Sure they did. But they needed offensive weapons. They needed some kind of offensive help. Flacco's got nothing. With that said, a B- for the lack of offensive talent they brought in this draft. That's it for the Baltimore Ravens. I've got nothing else for them. And then we're going to Cincinnati Bengals. All right, my final analysis for this week is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals. They get an A- for me. I really thought this was the best team in this division as far as draft goes. Phenomenal draft by Cincinnati this year. They took John Ross, wide receiver, from Washington in the first round with the 9th overall pick. Nobody saw that coming. Nobody. I mean, you've already got A.J. Green. You line A.J. Green up with John Ross on the other end, dude. Wow. And then you turn around in the second round, he took Joe Mixon, which I thought was the best running back in this draft. Look out for Cincinnati this year. I'm not kidding, man. I mean, the next couple of years, their offense is going to have, as long as that quarterback, Dalton, can get it right. And then they got Lawson in the 4th. Carl Lawson, linebacker from Auburn. I thought they were all great picks. The only reason I'm giving them the minus on their A is their O-line. They lost guards this year in free agency. They didn't replace them. They didn't draft a single lineman. And I just feel like they really needed some O-line help, and they didn't get any. But the playmakers that they got for this offense is ridiculous with those first 2. Ross and Mixon are tremendous athletes, and they are really going to contribute day one. Really excited about Cincinnati Bengals draft. I can't wait to see how this works out. They're a team I'm definitely looking forward to seeing on the field. Cincinnati gets my vote for the best draft for this division. Again, can't wait to see Ross and Mixon on the field. These were 2 of my favorite players coming out. I was secretly hoping that my Eagles could end up with both of these guys, and boy, if they end up on the same team in Cincinnati. Pulling for them, as well as Lawson. I thought those were 3 great picks. Pittsburgh's wasn't bad, but it was just a bunch of we'll sees. Cleveland's draft was pretty good because of their 3 first-round picks and waiting on a quarterback. And then, of course, Baltimore won Alabama. Nobody got a bad grade. I don't think anybody stepped out of bounds. I thought this was a draft similar to the NFC East that I had. Everybody did well. I think everybody got what they wanted. A lot of need left out there for a couple of teams. But I think overall this was a pretty decent division. But, you know, time will tell. We'll see. And like I said, a lot of immediate impact players from all of these teams, I think, especially Cincinnati and Cleveland. That's going to be it for this week. We'll see you right here next Tuesday. Remember, as always, like, share, subscribe. I'm Scott. This is the Red Zone Faction, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Leave the comments down below if you like this video. Bye!